We often hear the story of feminism as a powerful, organic movement born from the collective will of women seeking equality. But what if this widely accepted narrative, which led to some of the most profound social changes in human history, conceals a more complex and perhaps more calculated origin? What if the push for women's liberation was not primarily a grassroots uprising, but a carefully orchestrated effort fueled by hidden agendas and elite manipulation? A convenient platform for influence did present itself during the rise of spiritualism. To understand this hidden history, we must first look to the mid-19th century and the explosion of spiritualism across America and Europe. Fueled by New York's burned-over district, a region ripe with hysterical passion from previous religious awakenings, spiritualism saw families like the Fox sisters gain notoriety for their supposed ability to communicate with the dead through mysterious rappings. These public demonstrations quickly gained a following, leading to a wave of traveling mediums, trance speakers, and fortune tellers who claimed to consult the spirit realm for guidance on morality and social structure. The sources highlight that abolition, feminism, and spiritualism became deeply intertwined during this period. While often presented as a legitimate means for women to speak publicly in an era that supposedly restricted them, the reality, as the sources suggest, is that many of these heroines of women's suffrage were essentially the 19th century equivalent of psychic frauds. Meet Victoria Woodhull, the con artist, medium, and advocate for free love. Our most striking example is Victoria Claflin Woodhull, famously known as Mrs. Satan. Born into poverty, Woodhull and her sister Tenny were raised by a snake oil salesman father and a spiritualist mother, making their living from childhood as spiritualist mediums and clairvoyant fortune tellers. Victoria, marrying at just 15, continued this deceptive trade, even using snake oil and magnets for spiritual cures. Her radical social views, including her advocacy for free love and her belief that marriage was nothing more than a socially sanctioned form of prostitution, were openly rooted in her supposed clairvoyant gifts and communication with spirits. Woodhull's fortunes dramatically changed when she formed a personal and professional relationship with Cornelius Vanderbilt, then the wealthiest man in America. Vanderbilt notably made a fortune, an estimated $1.3 million, equivalent to $26 million today, by implementing what he publicly claimed was psychic investing advice from Woodhull just before the first Black Friday stock market crash. However, the sources reveal that Woodhull's hot trading tips actually came from a prostitute friend whose clients included wealthy Wall Street bankers and Vanderbilt's business rival. This points to insider trading and monumental fraud, a fact the sources lament is consistently glossed right over by modern feminists. With Vanderbilt's backing, Woodhull, Claflin & Co. became the first female-owned trading company on the New York Stock Exchange, using their profits to publish Woodhull and Claflin's Weekly, which printed the first English version of the Communist Manifesto and promoted their radical agenda, including her presidential run in 1872. The narrative of a popular, grassroots demand for suffrage is further dismantled by examining its primary funders. In 1895, when Massachusetts asked eligible women if they wanted suffrage, only a minuscule 3.8% voted yes. Despite this widespread lack of public support, the movement gained unprecedented momentum through the financial backing of incredibly wealthy elites. Alva Vanderbilt Belmont, heiress to one of the world's largest fortunes, became arguably the single largest financier of the women's suffrage movement. Following a massive divorce settlement that left her one of the richest women globally, she dedicated her life to feminist causes, donating vast sums to suffrage organizations in both the UK and US, purchasing office space for the National American Woman Suffrage Association, NAWSA, and organizing major rallies of women. Another key figure was Phoebe Hearst, who inherited millions and was a founding investor in Greenacre Inn, a center for cross-religious gatherings. First, a devotee of the Baha'i faith, which aims to blend all the religions of the world into one, publicly supported suffrage and made large donations to its campaigns. The sources explicitly state that the women's suffrage movement was forced upon the populace by the wealthiest, most powerful transnational elites in the world. This pattern of deception, from the fraudulent claims of spiritualist mediums to the strategic financial backing of powerful elites, highlights a critical insight. Feminism, contrary to popular belief, was not an organic, grassroots movement. Instead, it was a top-down ideology, intentionally forced upon the populace. The true origins and the extent of elite manipulation have been intentionally hidden because, as the sources suggest, public knowledge of such figures being con artists, scammers, thieves, and cheats would discredit the image of not only Woodhull, but the entire first-wave feminist movement. This hidden history reveals a powerful, concerted effort to reshape society, driven by those with immense wealth and influence, and underpinned by motivations far beyond simple calls for equality. Stay tuned for Part 4, The War on Christianity and the Woman's Bible.